one of the most famous ghost stories in Chicago.
Yeah.
There's a road called Archer Avenue that goes from downtown all the way down southwest to the south side by Midway Airport, where it turns into Old Archer Avenue and then curves and goes off into this wooded foresty area. And there's a couple locations that are famously haunted. The Ashbury Cafe is about 2 blocks away from what used to be, I believe, the Willowbrook Ballroom. I don't know if it's, I think that's what it was called. I was staying at the Ashbury Cafe when I was 16 and, you know, play open mic, but that place is famously haunted. People have been pushed down the stairs. And if you go there, because I did, and, you know, I used to hang out there when I was like 16 till I was maybe 18 or whatever. Every Wednesday and every weekend, because they had improv night and they had open mic night. And a few years, so this is probably when I was 28 maybe. I come back and I ask the owner if I can film and talk to someone about the ghosts. Absolutely not. Don't want. I'm assuming she doesn't want this place to be the ghost place.
Right.
But the people who are familiar with it know the stories because they're online for like famous hauntings.
Wow.
When I went back to Chicago, wanting to do a short little video about Resurrection Mary, that was the year the Willowbrook Ballroom burnt to the ground.
Wow.
So here the story is, it's probably one of the most famous or classic stories about the vanishing woman, which you've probably heard of these kinds of ghost stories.
Right.
On Archer Avenue, numerous people throughout the years, I mean dozens, if not more, have reported either seeing a young blonde woman in a ball gown walking down the street only to completely vanish when they look back. She's not there anymore. Some people have said that they've been flagged down by this young woman in a ball gown asking for a ride to the Willowbrook Ballroom. And then when they start driving, they'll get to a stoplight. And when they look over to talk to her, she's gone. Mm-hmm. There was a cab driver who picked up this young woman. And when he got close to where it was and was getting ready to drop her off, he looks in the back of his car and she's not there anymore. So the story is that at some point, long time ago, this ballroom, there was a young woman. I don't remember the full details. It's you know, you could find the full details. I think it was something happened where she got into a fight with her date and decided to walk home. And it's pitch black. I mean, it's a forest basically. You're walking, right. And then she got killed in a hit and run. And this must have been the 50s or something. Since then, people have started reported seeing this woman walking down the road all the way up into the Midway Airport area where I grew up. And this is well-lit street lights, halogen, busy businesses, bars. And people, and so when I remember hearing that someone saw her down, the Red Barrel is a place they called it. Right. It's a restaurant. And someone walked out and saw her. And the crazy thing is, some of these people are tourists. They don't know the story, and they report to the police. Yeah, some young woman is, you know, in a gown. Some people have said that when they saw her walking down the street and they drive past her and look back, she has no face. Huh. Now, here's the craziest part of the story. She's called Resurrection Mary because on the way to the ballroom, she's often asking people to drop her off across the street from the Resurrection Cemetery. And the cemetery has these big iron fences. And so I'm probably getting the story wrong, and you can look it up. The story is that someone reported seeing a young woman in a dress near the gate of the cemetery when it was closed. And the next day, there were hand marks bent into the metal, causing an uproar with people freaking out about what this could be. And the local said, no, a truck backed into it. We assure you everything's fine. And the urban legend is that they fixed the fence, repaired it, and then slowly, over the next few months, the bends in the metal slowly started to reappear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like when I was in Georgia, I found
right
an abandoned cemetery in Georgia. And the reason I went down in the first place is because they're like, no one knows where this graveyard is. It's only Revolutionary era people buried there. But the handle just keeps getting polished. And they're like,
whoa,
we think the ghost keeps returning to open it.
Look up Bachelor's Grove.
Okay.
Famous photo of a ghost. I think it appeared in the Chicago Sun-Times. I think we had talked about you investigating
on the very
Chicago.
first IRL I ever did, almost 3 years ago.
Grove.
Yeah, there's a photo of a woman sitting on a grave, I think.
Yep.
And it was publicly reported as a ghost because the photographers who went down there, this is where Al Capone dumped the bodies, the Midlothian Turnpike.
Right.
And there's satanic rituals performed there, probably still to this day. Mm-hmm. When we were teenagers, we'd always want to go there. And there's one reason why we were always told not to go there. And it's not because of ghosts, but it's because creepy weirdos do satanic rituals, and it's very dangerous.
Right.
So I went there, of course, with my friends. And someone had hung up like a mock corpse with blood saying "keep out" as you're walking in.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, what's that movie? They go into the woods.
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch.
Yeah. That's how I feel like this show could evolve into me with a camera running through this house at some point.
Well, you know, Blair Witch just happened right here in Frederick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The
a good area for
not
paranormal
Frederick,
stuff.
right outside of
the motel where they filmed is actually down the street from the castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not there anymore, so I have no problem saying that.
Right.
Right. Well,
Right.
That's nice.
That's funny. Do we have another caller?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's.
We got Kevin.
I know there's a bunch of people who signed up. I would like to get to most of them if we can.
Okay. Kevin, are you in the room with us?
Kevin, can you hear us?
I can.
What's up, Kevin? Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it, lady, gentlemen. How are you today?
We're good.
Great.
Got a good voice for ghost stories.
Yes.
So mine is less of a ghost story and more of a what the hell was that story. So I'm glad I'm able to at least fit in with you guys a little bit.
Perfect. Take it away.
Way back in 2001, I was a young Marine stationed on Camp Pendleton, and it was 11:15 at night, 23:15 for those military folks out there. And me and my buddy are just chilling in the smoke pit, relaxing after fire watch, having a conversation, and looking up at the stars, because being from, the south side of Chicago, we don't have too many stars in the sky.
Right.
And, it was something I do all the time. And I'm looking up, and I see this star moving, and I figure, it's just a plane. I'm on a military base. I see them all the time. And then it started to move. And when I say move, it was 5 or 6 real fast 45 to 90 degree turns. It made this weird design and went to the very middle of it, and in a flash, it was gone. And I looked at my buddy, and to this day, I could see Cook's face, and we were just like, dude, did you see that? What was that? And I go, aliens, bro. Aliens.
Can you describe the weird design?
Honestly, it sort of looked like a 5-point star, sort of, but the angles were a little off. If I redrew it now, if you could pull up the design of the Jeep Compass logo, it had the triangle at the top and the triangle at the bottom, but the two outside edges were, it was like 2 on one side, 3 on the other, and it didn't stay very long to be able to get a clear picture of it, but the flash is what really threw me off.
Can you describe the flash? Was it a big flash? Can you tell us like the color?
It was a blue-green flash, but it wasn't large like a firework. It was more of a like if you shot a bottle rocket up.
Yep.
And you took that distance, it was a small, quick, instant flash like that. If we were in the air, we would have probably gotten a lot better look at it. But I mean, we were on a military base, so who knows if it was us, if it was.
That's what I was going to ask you.
you know.
Yeah. Did you talk to anyone else other than your buddy from the base? Had they seen anything either that night or any other time while at the base?
I had talked to a few MP buddies that I had there, and one of my corpsman friends, you know, we love our corpsmen, and he was telling me about one time they were out on the out on Edson Range, and that's a rifle range, and we were doing night fire, and you know, when we were out there, sometimes they'd let us just fill up our mags with tracer rounds. So it literally looked like Star Wars with the red and green lasers going down range.
Right.
And he told me one time, because when you're in the pit, you're raising the targets and dropping the targets. Well, he said one time he was down there and they were just raising the targets, and he looked over and he could swear that he saw a guy dressed in Vietnam era clothing walking the pit from one side to the other. And he said to this day, he can't figure out what that was, but he knows he saw somebody walking.
Wow. Do you follow UFO news ever since? Do you keep up with it in terms of like the committee hearings and stuff?
Yeah, I haven't joined any of the UFO or paranormal sites, but I do. I have followed some of the bigger names in it and listened to some of their talks, and I'm not convinced about the alien battle underground in the
where the guy lost his hand
outside of New Mexico, but you know, you never know.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because 2 years ago when the I refuse to say UAP. I really don't like the rebrand. I'm going to call it UFOs. When the UFO committee was starting to share their findings, every instance of a UFO that was seen happened to be on a military base, which is, I think you alluded to this earlier at the beginning of your story. You don't know if it's us or what. It's always interesting to me that a lot of these sightings do happen around military bases. Like I said in the beginning of the show, I grew up on a military base. There's a lot of people who saw a lot of strange things over the Hudson River, and I always assume it's us. Although I do think they're interdimensional beings, I think a lot of the things that we see in our sky are probably us taking, like, and when I say us, I mean Lockheed Martin, that we're feeding billions of dollars. But they build things like that. You know, in 2000, you said 2001.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So 2001, I'd imagine they'd have stuff that's 50 to 100 years, you know, ahead of that time, hidden in some bunker that they're trying out, knowing that the soldiers below, you know, wouldn't know. They've never seen this technology before. But you don't know, because it could also be aliens, because, you know, there's a theory out there that aliens gave our military and other militaries the technology, and that's how we have it, which is where Area 51 comes in. Had you seen anything else after that at the base or elsewhere?
After that, no, I did have a semi-paranormal experience in Afghanistan once. We thought we heard voices of like an older battle, because there was nothing going on at the time. We were in Kandahar, and literally just a lull. We're just hanging out, and we hear talking, but there is nobody around, and we can't explain where the voices came from. So we just think, with that being such a war-torn area, that maybe something from the past is bleeding through.
Yeah, I think it's possible. You know, when I visit battlefields, it's hard to know if I'm just projecting my knowledge of the history and the bloodshed onto a place, or if there's actually something ghost-like seeping up from the ground. But everywhere in this world is a graveyard for the most part. Times Square, or not Times Square, well, maybe Times Square, but Central Park was a graveyard until they leveled that and turned it into a nice little park. So you never know what you're walking on. But hey, man, I really appreciate the story, and we'll keep our eyes to the sky.